Yeah.
Are we all set? You guys both got through
And
this?
then I'll wait another month for him to go in.
Anywhere I want to put it. Yeah, it's pretty.
All right, it's 6 o'clock in the town of Lee on November 27th. I am calling this meeting to order. We're going to start with public comments, limited to 3 minutes. Anyone who'd like to speak, come on up. Nobody is leaping up. All right, so we're going to start with appointments. We are going to start with Deb Shanda tonight.
Will be
Oh,
Emily.
all right. You keep being on the list, but it keeps being Emily. Well, Emily, come on up.
One of us.
That's one of you.
Hi. Yes, I'm here with the library updates for the month. So some completions that have been completed. The electrical updates inside have been completed and they have been inspected, as well as the fire alarm, which has also been inspected. And as you probably noticed, the siding at the exterior is done, completed. In the process, so the floors of the schoolhouse have pretty much, I think they're pretty much finished, but the town is going to come to inspect those, and S&P is scheduling a structural engineer to inspect and approve those too. So that's almost in completed part. This week, the plan is to rough in the plumbing at the restroom and the craft area. I don't know, I guess it's been a while since the last time I was here, but we did have the community dialogue about accessibility for both of those areas, and that went really well. It came back with a lot of feedback, and that has altered some of the, not really altered them too much, but I think it will make both of those spaces quite a bit more accessible.
That's great.
So that was a really valuable experience. That all came from a grant, and we were required to have the community involved, and we had a lot of good feedback. So just an update on that. So this week they're going to rough in the plumbing for the restroom and the craft area, and start installing sheetrock on the ceilings and the walls, complete the ceiling insulation, including they're building out a newer spot to access the space above the ceiling, so a different access point.
Great.
So that will be where they'll be going. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the inside or seen the inside, but there's really no ceiling on the schoolhouse right now. So
That'll be nice to get back.
yeah. So starting on that with the sheetrock and all that. Something that is in the process and we're discussing is the lighting on the outside. The light needs to be replaced on the front of the building, and we're really working to do that as soon as possible because I know Mr. Bullock from the Department of Public Works really has some concerns about the lighting. We also want to make sure that that gets replaced. S&P, they're looking for a fixture that's going to be both aesthetically pleasing and provide the same intensity and coverage of the parking lot.
Great.
We also are working to schedule a meeting with the fire department to talk about kind of preliminary plans for not necessarily phase 2, but starting to look at the lift portion on the basement, putting in the elevator, and need to consult with the fire department on that. So that's another thing that's in the works. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Is somebody taking pictures of all this? Okay, good.
It's actually on the library website. You can
Yeah.
just click renovation and there's 20, 30 pictures as it goes.
Nice. Do you have a question?
Yes,
Go ahead.
can I go up?
Sure.
Ann Tappan, Stepping Stone Road. Just a question about the lighting on the outside of the library. Is that going to be dark sky lighting? That's something that the planning board is really working on for
Great question.
new projects.
Mhm.
They have, in the updated plan, that there is information in there about dark sky lighting.
I don't have the answer to that, but I would
Okay.
fully support us looking into that.
There is a company in Dover that actually manufactures and makes all of their dark skylighting LEDs, and they're right local, so if they haven't picked out something yet, that'd be great to look into.
Yeah, I don't think it's been finalized. I think the main concern was, Mr. Bullock was really concerned about the lighting being bright enough.
Yeah.
So as long as it's,
Yeah, it would all, it's all in how they
you
do
know,
it.
amplifies the parking lot, but that shouldn't be a problem for it to be.
Yeah, great thing to verify. That's a great question, thank you. If you need help, let me know.
Yeah.
Great,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. On to regular business, town administrator.
Sure. The first item I have is poll licensing, and I think I've got this pretty well worked out, as long as the board is in agreement. We had some discussion with the town clerk about the poll license, and this is utility polls, licensing on town roads. And in doing a little bit of digging, I found some poll licenses that have been signed by former town administrator, at least one or two that have been signed by the planning and zoning director, and there was apparently one that had been signed by the DPW director. In my experience, typically the DPW director or the town engineer signs off on those. If the Board of Selectmen is concerned about the DPW director signing off on poll licenses, they can request that they be the final authority. But the standard template that the town of New Hampshire uses for poll licensing has the DPW director sign off. It was fairly standard language, and I, since putting this on the agenda, I've talked with Mr. Bullock and I have talked with the town clerk, and I think we're all in more agreement than we were when I put it on the agenda. So if the board has no concerns, I'd like to use the standard state of New Hampshire template for poll licensing and have the DPW director be the person that goes and measures the distance, the right of way, looks at the trees and looks at the drainage and signs off on the poll placement requests. But I did want to bring that to the board in case
Seems very well.
any of you had a dire interest in being involved. Or
No, that's not.
I didn't think it should be the town administrator because my knowledge of road right-of-ways and
Yeah, and the person who wants to drive the plow and do all the work around the road, that becomes.
under miscellaneous, a couple of things that have come up. The special election request that you put in was not added as of yet to the governor and council's agenda for Wednesday. I spoke to Joshua Wyatt, the Dover city attorney, today, and also spoke to the Secretary of State's office. The message that we both received was that the paperwork is in the governor's office and that we should check the agenda regularly today and tomorrow, and maybe call the office again tomorrow to see if it had been added. So that was the official message I got with regard to why it's not on the agenda for the 29th.
Thank you. I don't see it added yet as of now. I did, when going through this, we noticed where to go? That we have somebody, Captain David F. Stern from Lee is becoming a rank of major in the New Hampshire Air National Guard. So we
Yes,
didn't know that otherwise.
I had you sent me the press release. I
That's
was going to
very
pull
cool.
that and
Yeah, very cool.
publicize it.
Anyway, all right.
A couple of other items. There is some question about right-of-ways and trail usage as trail usage runs from Little River Park on town-owned property into private property. I think Karen Rossi and I are going to attempt to get to the bottom of what the actual right-of-way is and if there is any concern. But then I'll be reporting back on that
The
later.
people that the land that it's on, have they had a comment or what's happening?
There's a private landowner that Snowmobile Trail and Little River Trail go over their private land. They've got some concerns about people being on their property, and they have some other concerns about the potential vandalism, that sort of thing that they've brought forward. They brought this forward last year in a revaluation request, actually 2022, and you denied the request to abate taxes. The assessor at the time pointed out that having a nature trail on your property and being in close proximity to a town park is not necessarily considered a detriment. In fact, if you were selling a home, you would probably advertise that as a potential benefit. But so there'll be a little more coming on that. You may hear from people with regard to it. I'm assuming you've seen some of the tempest over the removal of the Christmas tree. Other than that, I've had some contact about taxes and tax rate, but most people have seemed to be understanding.
Okay.
And those are really the items I had. Mr. Bullock was going to be here this evening. There've been a couple of late developments in pricing with regard to two particular models that are favorable, and he'll be getting back to you. We're also going to need to hold a public hearing to accept some state funding that I'm hoping is going to show up before the end of November. $36,000 or so in road aid, similar to what we received last year.
That'll be excellent.
But we'll have to hold a public hearing for that when it comes in.
Okay.
And he has plans to put it to good use right away.
I love that. Great. All right, anything else?
I have nothing at this point.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I should mention, I talked to Ben Carino and Stephanie Catoli, and I'm hoping that for the 4th, they'll both be here with the team, and we'll have some presentation material to review with you.
Great.
I did meet with them 2 weeks ago at their office, and have also gotten them, found some of the prior survey plans with heights and that sort of thing that I got to them about years ago, so.
Exciting. Great, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda items. We're going to include the minutes that are later in the agenda with the consent agenda. So move to accept the consent agenda as presented and to include minutes dated 10/2/23.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right.
Goes up there. Followed by the minutes.
We'll start this way.
Is there a microphone to have a cough button?
No, I know I have a copy of everybody. Well, that's what's
Initials. It's the 27th.
Look how I have 59 on this coming.
Do we have a non-public?
We do, the police chief wants to talk.
Okay,
to
great,
you.
thank you. There you go.
Okay, so we do not need to sign that, but we need to initial the other page.
Yeah,
Okay, making sure that it made no sense to everybody else.
it made no sense to Denise or I either.
Yep. To initial without a signature. Trade choice. Awesome. Yeah, okay. Beautiful. All right.
The other thing I would mention, just briefly, is we got our new copier. They delivered it on Friday. It actually has considerably more features than the previous one we had.
Okay.
It gets much better efficiency from the ink cartridges and was a tick less than what we were paying, so.
So we don't get a green tint to all of our stuff anymore?
No, and the red streaks will probably disappear as well,
Oh.
at least for the first few years.
Thank you.
It does have booklet capacity up to 80 pages and some other things, so if you've got
Oh.
specific projects and things you want to get out.
Very cool. All right, do we have any old business to discuss or new business?
New.
Yes.
Okay.
New, go ahead.
Two things. One, request from the Nation's 250th Committee.
Mhm.
They anticipate expenses in this fiscal year, so they're requesting from the board $1,000 to use for those particular expenses. The biggest one being paying for a website. So that's a request. The other request is more of a, do we have hidden away someplace stands for like those poles and or poles? They're looking for something so they can put up a banner during events and stuff, so they didn't have to hang it.
I have 3 of those stands and 3 flagpoles at the town office that have flags on them that could be removed and folded properly because the ceiling is too low for us to put them up at the town office.
All right,
Could
because
certainly
the thing
get those
is,
to you.
after 2026, you'll get them back.
Yep.
So you have 2 stands and 2
I
poles?
have 3 stands and 3 poles. So we have 2 that are identical, I believe, that would probably
Okay.
work best.
Very good. I'll let them know. Thank you.
Why do we need a new website for this instead of just using the
So
website?
we did the same thing when we did the semi-quincentennial, a different website, because this one that we have now for doing stuff is not going to be applicable.
Got it.
It's not. 2 things. One, Denise will be inundated with requests to update stuff, so that's not usually a workable thing. I don't know, maybe she's different now, but also we want to put up, well,
Spicy.
she was too busy last time, so I don't know, maybe she's,
I don't remember, you had a different website for
yeah,
the
yeah,
250?
we did. Yeah.
Is the $1,000 to help pay for the person managing the website as well as the website?
No, it's
Just
all
the
just for the service, and it's not all website.
Okay.
They're looking for doing things to promote it, like banners and stuff, the banner I just talked about. So it's things like that. They're getting prices in terms of the website. So it will be hosted someplace else, but linked from the town webpage to it. The last time we had, it was a website that went through Frank Reinhold from Flankhill. It was through the same provider. But we put up pictures and also promotions and stuff, so they're gonna be doing that on a website, plus they're gonna do Facebook and other things. I told them Facebook's for older people. They kind of laughed and they said, well, we're all older people. I said, well, you need to get in other people besides just the old people. But it's not for paying anybody to do anything. It's all for
Okay.
services.
And they're able to manage the website on their own?
Yes, there's people that are,
Perfect.
yes. So-
And QR codes. People are very interested in that, so I'll make
Well,
sure
I think they get the gist of it because their websites are fine. Some people look at those. Some people look at Facebook, but younger people don't do those because their parents got on Facebook and now that's not cool, so we need to move on to something else. So they're on Instagram and all kinds of other
And
things.
TikTok.
They're into TikTok.
Yeah, so the whole idea is to make people aware of it.
Perfect.
Everybody, not just certain groups. So that's the request.
Great.
Oh, and they officially asked, I know I've told this to the ABC, but it was unofficial, but officially, they're asking for $5,000 in the next year's budget for expenses and stuff like that.
Do we have that listed in the budget yet, or do we have to add that?
If we don't have a line, I will put a specific line.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other
Certain
thing,
place we can put it.
hopefully we can do this, but the last time we did this in 2014, 15, 16, including the semi-quincentennial, or in this case, the semi-quincentennial for the nations, underneath the Heritage Commission, so that the funds just stay there, they don't just dump into the unassigned fund balance. Hopefully we can do that again this year, this particular event, not this year. So we don't have to say, you know, we'd like $5,000, we spent $4,000, and $1,000 goes to the unassigned fund balance, and then they've already asked for that particular year, and now they're short again, so.
So, did we do it this way last time? They just kinda had- Did we do it this way last time, where they just had like a large sum of money and then they kept?
They had a
remitting
large
these?
sum of money,
Okay.
and it went through Heritage. And the Heritage Commission hasn't officially accepted it, but since 3 members of the Heritage Commission are on the nation's 250th, general consensus was that was the third.
Will they be presenting a budget for their $5,000 if they want?
They made a request to the ABC, but
Did they submit like what they were gonna do with the money?
Ken has had a meeting on Saturday, but I can find, yes.
If they go through the whole thing and they use, and the event is over, then that money would go to the unassigned. I mean, it wouldn't because it's Heritage Commission, but wouldn't it make sense if they didn't use it for that, to not use it? Just a trick.
It's a request.
Yeah, yeah.
If we can
Well,
do it
it's-
another way, that would be fine.
Yeah, okay.
And the other thing is just so, that 5,000 is probably going, and you'll get the thing about it, but it's probably going to be giving deposits for different groups, for bands and reenactors and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be another request in the next fiscal year as well. I'm not sure how much that's going to be. But just based on the timing, they're looking at the 20th of June 2026 or the 27th. They were going to have it on July 11th, but we found out that it's the American Heritage Museum in Exeter is having a big do.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You don't want to compete.
yeah, well, we're figuring, let's not let's not compete against other people. There's
Yep.
gonna be tons of things that people are gonna be doing anyways.
Yep.
But also to get people to do the band and stuff,
Hmm.
if they're already committed, they're gonna do the isn't exactly. So there's one of the groups, or group checking with different towns and finding out when they're doing their things, so we kind of cross schedule them.
Are we looking for any fundraising as well, instead of just from the town? Like, is there,
We haven't talked about that.
because like the Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution, I would think that they would be interested in.
One of our group, we have a list of all the businesses in town, and one person in our group is going to be asking
Okay,
businesses
so
to
you are going to be
participate.
asking donations.
There wasn't any mention in terms of individuals, but we
Which,
talked about.
if somebody loves reenactment and wants to donate towards that, it makes sense. And then that way the money can go a little further.
Yeah, yeah. There's also been talk about doing the Mastery event again. I'm not game for that, but I guess certain people
I
are.
think everyone that was deeply involved is not game for that. But
Some of our group has already contacted the Mastway School. The principal seems to be on board with this. They are doing indigenous people this particular fall, and then they're doing the colonial period in the spring. So that's big. So that's why they kind of want to do the mastery thing, because that colonial period is out.
Is there anyone on the 250th that is aware of how to tell that story in a more complicated way, I guess, in a more diverse way than
Which story?
just of the nation's founding, just to be thoughtful of
Oh,
how we're sharing that event?
I don't know. We haven't talked about that particular part. The big thing they want to do is get together with other groups. So we might not necessarily be the ones putting it on, but we'll like co-sponsor something. And one of the things they're doing is they've invited the DAR and the SAR people to come, one, talk about what they do, maybe sign people up, but also give a presentation in terms of that particular period.
Great.
I don't know how extensive that would be, but that's what they're talking about, so.
Okay.
But yeah, so should be interesting. They're not planning tons of events, they're planning more quality events. They're talking about a gala, I'm not sure where yet. Kind of like we did at Flag Hill, maybe not at Flag Hill, maybe someplace else. Definitely a parade. We're talking about where it goes to and where it stops. Most likely stops at Little River Park. The last one started over at the transfer station. And more ambitious people harken back to 1966 when we did that one. It started at James Farm and went all the way. So, and before the chief gets too upset, there's one member that's going to liaison with you about closing the road and all that other stuff, and also in terms of safety coverage, in terms of the stuff. So you have your own little liaison person. So. But it should be exciting.
Fancy.
Should be exciting. So. But yes, I will do something. Because we just had our second meeting. The first one I couldn't attend, but we had our second meeting. So.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. I just think we always ask everyone to do as much fundraising and looking for grants as possible, so I don't want to.
Yep. Oh, they talked about floats. In 1966, they did floats.
Got it.
So different communities were asked to do floats. James Farm, Sawyer Lake, places like that. So that's one of the things they want other people to get involved with.
We had a pretty big, exciting float happening a few years ago. I remember Mastway had people up on a, I don't remember what that was for. I remember my daughter was up on the thing. What was
And they're
that?
talking about balloon rides too.
Okay.
We kind of talked them out of fireworks, because they do fireworks at the fair, but
Can I ask
There's
a
a limit
silly,
to funding.
can I ask a silly question? Is there a call for this outside of this group of people? To have like a big event here in our town? And pay for it?
build it and they will come. Tons of people showed up for the last one when we did 2016, so.
In 2016?
2016, the town
That's what it was.
submitted something.
I knew it was something, it was there recently.
I missed that one.
Yep.
I'm just curious if there was a call, because, I mean, so far it's $6,000 plus more money, and we're trying not to raise taxes, so I just was wondering if there was interest, other than this group of people that are
Just to
planning it
give-
last time.
Just to give you an idea,
Just
when we did
asking.
the town semi-quincentennial in 2014, 15, 16, the town spent $20,000. So just to give you,
I'm not saying it's so much money, I'm just asking if you guys have checked with any other groups. If you're hearing that there's a big call for a gala and a parade and a air balloon ride and a float.
Well, it's not really a ride, you kind of go up and.
I feel like he's
That's
not
not
listening to
really
me, he's just
right.
laughing.
It's not.
And the state has a 250th committee as well. Janet Wall is on it, so we liaison with her. We're also checking because the state has been given money from the federal government for this particular purpose.
That's what I was wondering
So
about.
we're
like, it's
wondering
gotta
about,
be- yeah.
well, if the state gets money, does that mean they're gonna give it to different towns? Are they
Right.
doing something? So one of our members is gonna liaise with Janet Wall. She's the one that's on the committee. She's from Medbury.
I mean, how many other towns are doing this right in the area?
Everybody's doing something.
Everybody.
Seems like
Every
everybody.
single town.
Not every single town, but everybody in our area seems to be planning on doing something.
I just think things are different now as a country than they were in 2016, so we just want to be really thoughtful about making sure everyone is feeling heard.
Senator Shaheen, I believe, is the co-chair
Yep.
on the national committee, so
Great.
we could
Follow some
look at
lead
her
there.
for some money too.
Sounds great.
Yeah, she just seems to find money for people. But,
That's literally what senators are supposed to do. Figure out where to,
well,
Sounds-
somebody has to pay for it, so.
yeah. All right, just like we're talking about this. Okay, so what do we have next?
Scott, did you have another item you wanted to talk about, Ma Jones first?
Oh.
Oh, what was I supposed to ask about March?
We were supposed to remind you.
We were supposed to remind you to talk about Ma Jones Forest event.
Oh, yes. I can write that one down. There is a presentation this Saturday. Ooh, I don't remember what time it is. But
10 a.m.
There you go.
10, yeah.
Thanks.
And the committee was looking for, or the group was looking to find out if any of us are going to attend.
On Saturday, I won't be in the country, sorry.
Can you jet back and then go?
It's just Canada, but I'll be
Well,
there.
I suppose.
I have family visiting this weekend.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
So I can fill you in on a little, just a little bit detail, not
Okay.
going on and on. So it's a two-part information session for the public. First is tomorrow evening here at 7, and there'll be a PowerPoint and discussion about what the project is. And then Saturday, there'll be an on-site follow-up meeting, so we'll be at the Lloyd Jones Memorial Forest at 10 a.m., and it's about an hour and a half. Hopefully it won't be raining. And have another opportunity to see things, you know, on the ground and ask questions there. There's an eCryer article, not this past week because of Thanksgiving, but previous week, that has this information on it, so people can check there. And if, obviously, anybody from the select board or other staff that wants to attend, that'd be great.
It's the timber harvesting,
Yes.
timber
Yes,
harvesting.
no, that we talked about, yeah, that's great, no, it's wonderful. Is the meeting gonna be up here or downstairs?
Here,
On this floor?
yes,
All right, so.
because it's, we need the projector for the
Perfect.
PowerPoint.
I just know we just made sure there's a meeting for CIP tomorrow at 6, so
Is that
make
with
sure it's
Dawn
downstairs.
Is
Pardon?
that the one with Dawn Quigley?
Yes. My understanding is that Dawn Jeans is working with Andy or somebody about
She has,
working the projector and all that.
So let's make sure that that's up here, and we'll make the CIP downstairs. They don't care what they need.
I emailed Dawn the uplink shortly before I go over
She,
here.
she came in earlier and did a dry run.
Perfect. All right. As long as we have all the things posted in the right buildings, that's good. How about you, Rebecca? Anyone else have anything? You got
I
anything?
don't have anything.
All right.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I move that we, oh,
Ooh, can I say one thing?
yes,
I just got this.
okay.
The New Hampshire Preservation Alliance news, very exciting stuff, if you want to read it sometime. But they're talking, there's an article in there about tramp houses statewide.
Oh,
They have an initiative, a statewide initiative, mind you, statewide initiative,
okay.
to identify and renovate tramp houses. Between the 1870s and the 1830s, towns were required to care for vagrants or tramps, a byproduct of the Civil War disruption and various panics and depressions. Towns would construct these simple buildings that contain cots and stoves, sometimes jail cells, if serving that dual purpose, and taxpayers provided food and rations and firewood. Several towns are working to restore these buildings independent of each other, including Barnstead, Ware, Arrow, Richmond, Grafton, Hill, Kingston. Examples of tramp rooms also exist in basements of buildings or multi-purpose sheds like Ashland and Lee.
Ooh.
So we made the preservation news. I was all excited.
Would they like to pay to?
Did they, yeah, I was gonna ask, do they have grants funding in there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
That was your tidbit of history.
Thank you, it's fascinating.
Make the motion under A.
Fabulous. I move that we enter into non-public session NHRSA 91-A:3,
3-2.
2, and then just A, not L.
Just
Okay, just A, great.
Second.
All right,
Roll call.
roll call, I was just about to do that because we just discussed this. Roll call, Mr. Bugby? Ms. Hawthorne?
Yes.
Ms. Casper, yes. All right, so moved.